Any views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by the journalist and guests are solely that of the journalist and guest and do not reflect the views, opinion, policies, or positions of Positive Lifestyle Management.
Greetings, brothers and sisters, men and women all around the world. Welcome to another episode of the Blueprint Reveal podcast. I'm your brother Fiji. That's your brother Blayland, and we back for another one. Before we begin, I would like to send out a special thanks to all the men, women, the brothers and sisters who who understood that for the last couple of weeks. I've been down, I've been under the weather. And for all those who came through to assist me during that time, I want to sincerely thank you. I ain't got to call out no names. I ain't got to do none of that stuff because you all know who you are. For all the well wishes, my family members and everything, I want to thank you all for everything that you had done. I want to give a special thanks out to my brother Blayland, because even when I was down, I still stayed in contact with Blayland. So thank you, brother. Thank you for being there, man. Thank you, everybody else, man, for stepping up, man, and sending me your well wishes and you get well soon and everything, man, and for all of the assistance that you all have provided me. Thank you, brothers, sisters. Thank you very much. So, brother Blayland, man, we've been down for the last couple of weeks, man. So, tell tell the networkers and everybody, man, what you've been doing, what's been going on with you, bro.
Well, as everybody should know by now, our sister Tish graduated. She received a degree, something I can't even pronounce. And I applaud her for that. So I got to give her love on that one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Sister Tish. That was a successful march too.
Oh yes,
On
yes.
October the 9th out in New York with the sister Chi and a lot of brothers and sisters that went out there to support her and everything, man. It was a successful march, man, and I wind up looking at it, man, on Facebook and everything, and it was on the news in New York. They went
Now I
across
missed
the
that
Brooklyn
part. I just
Bridge.
seen it on the news.
Yes, they went across the bridge in the Brooklyn Bridge. They went across the Queens. They went over in Queens Bridge. I think they
Okay.
walked like 10 to 14 miles, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Stop the violence campaign, man. That was very successful. You know what I'm saying? So
I know I
shouts
saw
out
it
to
on
the sister
Facebook.
Tish. Shout out to Sister Tish. And
And she.
Sister Chi. Both of you sisters that y'all been doing is wonderful. You know what I'm saying? Thank you all. You know, for all the brothers and the sisters who are on Facebook and everything that's selling your merchandise. If it comes up in my inbox, I've been automatically sharing your merchandise and everything. So to support you all in your positive and productive endeavors, the brother Blayland been doing the same thing. Now, several weeks ago, we passed out, I have to say, well over 500 copies of the blueprint.
TP.
Uh-huh.
Still passing out blueprints.
So we saying well over 500. So, and they still being passed out. So that means now, when we're going through the Blueprint Reveal podcast, everybody should be able to follow along now because everybody have a copy of the blueprint. So you'll be able to follow along. You have the same exact copy that we have.
Yep.
We don't have nothing no different than what you have. So when we put the blueprint up on the screen and we tell you what page it is, you'll be able to go to the exact same page and see the exact same thing that we're seeing, and you'll be able to follow us. For all the men and women who went through the quiz, thank you for your participation, for going through the quiz and everything and answering the questions. That was great. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for everything. And for all the men and women out there now who are teaching, keep teaching. Keep
Yes.
teaching.
Get
That's
the
what we've
word
been
out.
needing. Yes, that's what we've been needing. So keep doing it. If you are qualified to teach, step up and teach. Those who aren't qualified to teach, then just sit back and Learn until you are able to be qualified to teach. But we always have to remember, when we're teaching, we have to be the message that we bring. We cannot tell people's one thing and then we're doing something different. We have to be that message because that's what we're going to be judged off of. We're going to be judged off our deed, not our creed. Our actions going to speak louder than our words. So now, let's get back down to business. We're going back into the blueprint. We're going to page 21, which would be the
Division part 2.
division part 2,
Containment.
containment, the
The
unwritten
unwritten
law.
law.
Okay, so what is uh containment? What is the definition of containment? Containment.
I
So,
would define it as to limit the capabilities of something.
okay. The definition here, the simple definition of containment is the act, process, or means of keeping something within limits. Containment can also refer to a policy or strategy of restricting the territorial growth or ideological influence of another group or country.
Mm.
Mm,
Hold up. To limit the potential of, I'm paraphrasing, the ideological growth
it
of a group
says
of people.
it says containment can also refer to a policy or strategy of restricting,
Mm.
not limiting, restricting
Okay.
the territorial growth or ideological influence of another group or country. That's what they
Okay.
have it at.
All right. So I'm gonna use the news media for example.
Right.
If the news media is putting out a story that's a false narrative about a certain group of people because it doesn't want that group true message to get out or true history to be known, that would be a form of containment.
Yes. Because they contain in the facts, they contain in the truth, they contain in the information that can help the peoples. They contain it, they restricting it. They restricting it. Yes. Yes.
Okay,
And we see the news media does it all the time.
definitely.
They does it
I've,
all the
I've
time.
seen it in this day and time.
Yes, they do it all the time. You know,
Okay.
so now let's get to it. What is unwritten law?
Mm.
That's a question. Say
Uh-huh.
when the when the bondage like circumstances of social economically induced poverty overwhelm an undeveloped and inexperienced young mind, bizarre behavior, parenthesis, crime may be the only way he knows how to respond. All right, let's do this here. We already been through what social economically induced poverty is. So what we're going to do, we're going to we're going to go back through this here and we're going to go through it again. We're going to reread it and see what it is. It says, socially economically induced poverty is a term that refers to the conditions of being poor due to factors related to the social and economic structure of a society rather than individual circumstances or choices. It implies that poverty is not only a lack of material resources, but also a lack of opportunity, capability, and freedoms to participate in society and fulfills one's potential.
Mm.
Hold on, hold on, hold on,
Yeah, I'm about to ask a question.
hold on. That means that social economically induced poverty is done on purpose.
Yes.
It's done on purpose. So
Yeah.
what it does though, When you have, we don't even understand what socially economically induced poverty is. So what we start doing, we start blaming ourselves for our conditions, not understanding that our conditions were created on purpose.
They bring me to something about our community, speaking in general, right? Touching on what you're saying. That would be a form of like having jobs inside the community that don't pay enough for you to maintain your own well-being in that community. So
Check to check.
yes, and the only jobs that do pay you sufficiently enough are outside of your community, so that extra money you end up making gets spent on traveling back and forth to work. So you
Exactly.
still
You
making the
still
same
in
amount you'd be making in the hood,
you still in the same position.
which then opens the door for you to view your other options in life as trying to get two jobs and weigh yourself down. Or if you don't think in that angle, it's like the fast money, the easy hustle.
Exactly.
So socioeconomically induced poverty actually alters one perception of on how you view life and survival.
Yep.
Okay. I never thought
Okay.
about it until right now. So you had to bear with me.
Yeah. So it says many poor people sympathize with this particular frame of reference and share a common belief that their poverty is somehow perpetuated by the system. This allows a large portion of our youth to not feel embarrassed or remorseful in their commissions of crimes. Combined with the fact that poverty is socially economically designed, are written laws that contain poor people's in reserved areas of lands called ghettos.
Uh, I got to
For
go back
instance,
to something
yeah,
because it spoke about not feeling embarrassment or remorse about the commission of crime, correct?
yes,
And a lot of times we look at the youth as having no conscience, like they don't care.
right,
But it's explaining right here the reason why it comes off like that. It's not that they don't care. That's the only way they know how to express the fact that they do care is in that kind of behavior. Because to them, they're trying to get ahead in life.
right.
Okay. I'm clearing my conscience as I'm reading this. I'm understanding things differently.
It says, for instance, the written law states that you have the right to live or visit someone in any area of public domain. That's the written law. You can go
Mhm.
anywhere you want to go. However, the unwritten law of containment states move into this area, step across this boundary line, or get caught around here after dark, and you're dead. That's the unwritten law.
Yeah.
See, and I'm gonna use a place where I was coming up. It was two places: Bridgeport, Marquette Park. Bridgeport is where Mayor Daley and his family stayed, which was right over there by White Sox Park, Comiskey Park, where Comiskey Park was at. And we couldn't get caught over there at night. You get caught over there at night across that expressway, it's gonna be hell. Marquette Park was the same way. You get caught in Marquette Park, it was gonna be the same way to you. They was gonna deal with you. That's why they pop Martin Luther King upside the head with bricks and everything. You know what I'm saying? That's where they hit him all upside his head with bricks. You know,
Hmm.
so that was in Marquette Park. That's that unwritten law. And then when you get there, they call it white flight. You move into the area, they can't
Hmm.
get you out of the area, they move out of the area, get away from you.
I've seen that go on in the South.
Yes, yes, white flight. And it's like that in the South, they like, whereas when my mom and dad and that was coming up in the South, they know they couldn't get caught cross them tracks at a certain time, a day or night. Get
Mm-hmm.
caught across them tracks, it's gonna be some problem. That's that unwritten law.
You know, another way that I see that unwritten law
Uh-huh.
is, like, for example, I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, and oftentimes when I was coming up, leaving Birmingham was like a nah. This is shit. This is where I'm from. This is where I live. This is where I'm staying. A lot of folks didn't want to leave the city. If they did just to visit somewhere else for a vacation-like moment, family reunion or something, then
Right.
it's right back to the city. It's never like let's move to a whole different state, you know what I'm saying, and reestablish our life and go for something different. Because as we were taught, folks up north don't like us because we from the south. They think we slow, we country, or whatever the case may be. So that creates another containment mentality.
Okay. It says the written laws are buried so deep in judicial jargons that a person need a lawyer just to argue a simple complaint or to prove a minute innocent. So all the legal jargon, that's the reason why it's so hard for us to understand the law, because it's so understanding the law is buried in so much legal jargon. You got to sit, you got to research, you got to go over words that might mean something in the regular English dictionary don't necessarily mean the same thing when it comes to law. So it's
Mm-hmm.
all different. So you got to be able to understand the difference between these words. So most people don't, they feel like, man, I ain't got time to be understanding the written law. That's how they look at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, uh, this level of complication helps many to not understand written law and therefore not believe in it. So, what do we get when we have people that don't understand the written law? The first thing they'll say, "Oh man, the state of Maryland can do whatever they want to do. The state of Kentucky can do whatever they want to do. The state of Illinois, they write their own law. The state of Alabama, they do it this, they do it that, they do what they want to do because we don't understand it." And that's the reason why we have started the Legal Minds podcast to help people understand the law. That is the purpose. Because we
Yeah.
wait to a point where we in trouble, then we try to understand it. My
I can
brother.
tell you something else we do when we don't properly understand the law. We create our own understanding of the law, and that's what becomes the hood law. And people will tell you like they can only give you this amount of time because you were first offender, because that's what TV has shown them, or that's what books have said to them. When the actual law behind it is totally different. Superstition law.
Yes.
Like keep all your receipts. If you know what I'm saying, baby mom want to put you on child support and use your receipts, and they can't put you on child support. When that's not how the law works at all.
That's not how it works. That ain't
But in
how
the
it
hood,
works.
that's what we teach dudes.
That's what we teach. Keep every receipt that you do for the baby. If you go get the baby a bottle of a bottle of milk, make sure you keep that receipt so you can show that you went and bought a bottle of milk. Like that's gonna help them with when it comes to child support.
That exactly.
Okay.
Damn, that's crazy.
If police do not tour neighborhoods and enforce written laws, hardly anyone would obey them, least of all the povertized youth of today. On the other hand, the
Mhm.
unwritten law of containments are upheld and enforced by the citizenry. Citizenry. That is why you can ask the average povertized young youth which streets are his neighborhood's boundary line, and 99 times out of 100, he would know. That's the unwritten law.
Yep.
That's that unwritten law that we had already made those boundary lines. They're just like where I'm from. I'm from a
Hmm.
place called in the city of Chicago called K-Town. We know that Pulaski, if you was on Pulaski and Roosevelt, and you cross from the west side, I mean from the east side of Pulaski and go over to the west side of Pulaski, you was no longer in K-Town and you was somebody else's neighborhood. And then it was all, you know what I'm saying?
There's a
That's that
different set of
unwritten.
unwritten laws.
There you go. So what
Mm-hmm.
applies over on this side do not necessarily apply on that side. That's right.
Yep.
That's right. Although it is not inscribed in law books, povertized youth instinctively know that they are subject to harassment, bodily harm, and possibly death if they go beyond their boundary line. That is the unwritten law of containment.
Yep. That go back to what I was saying about being from Birmingham and not going up north or going out west because we felt like, hey, they don't fuck with us. It's automatic animosity.
Okay. It says another unwritten law of containment is the policy of viewing most blacks as potential criminals or hardened and accomplished criminals. Hold on. Well, that's another word for that. And it's called stereotyping.
I was thinking that, right? I was thinking
It's
that.
That's stereotyping because if you looking at somebody and you automatically thinking that they are some type of criminal or they are some accomplished hardened or accomplished criminal, you stereotyping them. You seriously stereotyping them,
Just like going
or
shopping and people following you around the store.
racial profiling them.
Yep. It's stereotype when you a citizen doing it to a citizen. It's racial profiling when you law enforcement doing it to a citizen.
Okay, so it's
That's another
basically
unwritten law.
another unwritten law.
Mm-hmm.
Says this unwritten law makes it extremely difficult for poor youth to venture out of their own community, Black and Hispanics in particular. History has taught them that as soon as they cross the boundary lines, they become suspects to whatever. Therefore, those youth who have chosen crime as their ticket to fulfilling the American dream soon realize that the most safest and risk-free area to commit crime is in their own neighborhood. Why? Because they feel safe and they feel that they can do it in their own neighborhood. Because if I go outside of my neighborhood, then I got a whole nother problem. But if I do it in my neighborhood, I'm safe in my neighborhood.
Listen, that has been taught literally in our communities. They say, don't go over there in the white folk neighborhood with that stupid shit. They're gonna lock you up. They're gonna hide you. They don't care if you kill another nigga. That's exactly how things are taught. Boy, if I could find the words to express what I'm thinking right now without, because this is a public platform, so I can't speak from the place my anger has me about that mentality.
So we're not speaking from a place of anger. Let's speak from a
No,
place of truth. Let's speak from a
yeah,
place of facts instead of
you
anger.
you know how much I heard that coming up, even in Birmingham alone, when I got into the street lights. We can call them OGs, big homies, you know what I'm saying, whatever. Elders in the community, they actually told us stay out of Hoover, Vestavia, Mountain Brook, all these areas doing what we do, because them white folks gonna hide you. Long as you in your hood doing it, they ain't really finna mess with you. And I ain't gonna lie, because of that, I begin to do a lot of things in my own community because I was safe. Like I knew if I did get jammed up, I wasn't gonna get punished that bad. And it's been several times I'd have been caught dirty, you know what I'm saying, with some stuff I was trying to get rid of. Police see it, confiscate it, maybe let me keep my money, maybe take my money, however it go in that moment, and let me go on about my business. But, but, boy, this blueprint got some truth in it. Mm. You got me reevaluating right now, bro. I apologize. TP on me.
But that's what we here to do, bro. The blueprint is here to bring out that truth to us, to hit us smack dead in our face, hit us up close and in the face, make it personal, give it to us in the raw, so that we are not living in some type of fantasy land chasing this American dream. Give it to us in the raw. That's what the blueprint does for us. And that's how we got to deal with the blueprint. We got to deal with life smack face dead in the raw.
Yep.
Hit us, give it to us. Don't sugarcoat it for us.
Sure wasn't no sugarcoating in that moment.
Therefore, I say in the black community, it is this frame of reference that has produced the present rash of black on black crime. However, the irony of the matter is, if poor people realize that their poverty is socially, economically induced, then they must also realize that conservative supporters of socially, economically induced poverty foresaw the rise of crime as a reactionary conditions of today's economic crisis. Ho, 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 ho. So they seen this here. They knew this here. That's why it was created.
Is
They
that
knew it
why
was going. They knew it was going to be this way.
in electoral campaigns they say by the year such and such the crime rate will be this and the crime rate will be that?
Because they've already taken into account what it is, man. What they, you know what they're using?
What's that?
The 5P system. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. They properly preparing for the future. They already letting you know what's going to happen 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 years down the line, so that when it get there, they've been telling you this here all the time. Because they know how long it's going to take. They know how much resources is going into the community. They know how much, excuse me, they know how much crime is going to be coming into the community, how the crime is going to come in the community, what type of person that's going to be creating the crime, where the men going to be at, where the women going to be at, the children going to be raising themselves. They sit back and they analyze this stuff, bro. They basically bake a cake. They take people and place
Mhm.
them in a place where they're already carved out for them. They just looking and say, okay, this is how long we're gonna get them in there. Okay, everybody ain't gonna get in this box, but we know we're gonna get the majority of them in that box. Some of them gonna
So
escape.
this carries me back to looking at electoral campaigns again, because a majority of politicians run their campaign on crime prevention policies, crime prevention bills. So if they've already mapped out what crimes will be committed and what rate they'll be committed, the time frame of it, if you build your platform on the idea of preventing crime, it navigates the people more in your direction, because you're giving them a sense of faith in you based on the campaign that you already know really is a false hope. So it goes back to that deceit of the American dream. Mm.
Now watch this here.
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side of that,
Uh-huh.
you see a lot of last few years, right? The last few years, everybody was running on reentry, reform, crime prevention, crime this, crime this. They was changing the laws, and people was talking about how the crack law wasn't an epidemic, that it was purposely done, and how they did the laws and everything. And see, the crack law is a direct example on what is being stated here in the blueprint. So they knew what was going to be the outcome of them passing that 1986 bill. They knew that. They knew it. You know what I'm saying? So by them knowing that, they got the results from that. You know what I'm saying? They received their results and
Okay.
placed a lot of peoples in bad situations.
True.
And so
True.
now they start coming up out of after people's made so much money off of. So now you got people's come along with the crime prevention and everything, right? So now
Hmm.
they they come up out of. Now, just in the last cycle of the elections, you start seeing Republican states start getting back right back on what?
Yeah.
The rise of crime.
Yep.
So they telling you now that crime is rising. Then
Hmm.
already came with crime is rising. That's what they ran their campaigns on. Get tough on crime.
Yep.
Look at the cycle right now. Look what they starting to run their campaigns on. Crime.
Mm.
So they already know where they taking you at, bruh. They have think tanks. And that's what they sit around and do. They sit around and they look at everything that's going on in the community. They look at all the money that's coming in the kid. How you think they can tell you the medium income of a family in certain communities?
True.
They can tell you how much money each household is making on an average in that
And spending.
community and spending.
Yep.
Man, this stuff is way deeper than what we think it is, man. And this is why when people's talking about this blueprint, man, people have to understand what the blueprint is doing. Why you think those who are in positions of the know is the powers that be don't want you to understand what the blueprint is about. Because if you understand and start studying the blueprint, this ain't got nothing. The blueprint ain't got nothing to do with no particular organization or none of that. The blueprint got something to do with all people in general to understand where you are and what's going on in your life and your community.
Yep. The blueprint is about awareness.
No, uh, the proof is in the manner in which they are preparing for the reaction of our youth. Simply, they are changing the laws and building more prisons.
That's facts. I
The
was
most
incarcerated when they prison building phase. Private owned prisons, all kind of prisons.
man, listen, bro. I got this book. I had this book, and this book is called Merchandising Prisoners.
Mm.
Who really pays for prison privatization? Man, listen to me, people. This is a must read book. You have to get it. You have to read it. Man, they playing major games with us, man. They are playing major games.
Cold
So
game.
it said the most obvious and recommended remedy to this dilemma is to get an education that would allow access to a higher standard of living. For an individual, this remedy is excellent. However, for every individual who escapes poverty through education, there are thousands, perhaps millions, who are snared in poverty's grasp through illiteracy. Oh, 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 bruh. Didn't I just say that, bruh?
Yeah,
Did
you
they didn't
did.
I
You might
just
want to say that one more time.
didn't I just say, man, they already know that
Yeah.
everybody ain't gonna get snared in there. Everybody ain't gonna get caught up. Some people's gonna get out of, but the vast majority of them going in that box
Facts.
based on their lack of education, which is illiteracy.
Yep. They didn't excel in knowledge, wisdom, understanding.
Yes.
Mm,
Mm.
mm, mm. Now, the beautiful part about it is that right after that, though, the blueprint presents the solution to this problem.
So let's go check this solution out. Let's
By
check this
all
solution
means.
out. It says What is needed is a program that is designed to uplift and encourage our youth towards getting a proper education before they are caught in a vicious cycle of recidivism.
Okay,
Added
hold
to
up.
this,
1 second. And I stopped for a reason because it didn't just say education, it said proper education. Because anybody can get an education, but the proper education is what's key to being able to not get snared in that. Now, for each individual, the proper education may be a trade, it may be a skill, it may be a degree of study, but each individual must know what their proper education is. And you have to get that education before being snared into that vicious cycle of recidivism, which recidivism could not just be in and out of prison. It can be a certain condition in life. As example, living paycheck to paycheck, that's recidivism. Returning back to a life of negative thinking is recidivism. So that posed me to ask a question. At what age bracket is considered before that snare comes? What should be the target age bracket that we're looking at?
from the womb,
Okay.
has to come from the womb, bro.
So we
It
can't
has
wait until they already
no.
instilled from birth.
It's got to be while in the womb.
Mm,
Therefore, you have to go back, and the parents have to be properly educated. Because if the parents are not properly educated,
hmm.
then the child isn't going to be properly educated, and the school is not going to be able to properly educate a student because it has to start in the home. Because the parents is what's going to have the most effect on a child in its education. Because the parents is what's going to direct the school and everybody else based on their children's education.
Okay. Now I have a question, right? Because as we having this talk, I'm thinking about the youth. Even when I went to school, and there have been times that my mom had to come to the school for my ABAs in class, right? And the principal talked to her. And based on the conversation the principal had with my mom or my grandma or my granddad, whoever came at that time, they were able to judge the direction I would go in because they knew what I was getting at home. So I knew this transpired with my generation. I've been out of school for a minute. So it's equally safe to say that now, and I have grandchildren now that are about to be starting school soon. So if my son and my daughter aren't properly educated on problem solving methods, for example, or even just basic arithmetic, reading and writing, when they go to the school to present themselves to the teachers and the administration at their school, that school can begin to then judge that child and say, well, this child going to be of this level of education or that level, and begin to stir that child in whatever direction that the system may deem best.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
So if the parent don't have a good enough hold on on the proper education themselves, how can they can't even prevent the school from sending their child in whatever direction they want them to go. So the parents is basically following whatever the school system want to send the child, instead of them directing the school system on how the child is supposed to be properly educated.
Okay.
Prime example,
Hmm.
we had a conversation, and I'm not going to get off into who the conversation was about or none of that, as far as parents and children. We both agreed this here, that based on how the parents conduct themselves at school and conduct themselves when they talk to the school officials, that's how the school officials are going to judge that child. in that particular household. So if you got parents that comes up to the school that's cursing the teachers out, cursing the principals out, acting not acting professionally, how are the principals and the school officials going to view their child if that child happens to act out? They're going to look at that child based on how the parents came up to the school and conducted themselves, because they're going to see that this is what the child is receiving in the household.
And they're going to relate
So,
it to what we consider criminal tendencies is what they will relate that to.
in the dope. So now, what if you got the parents that's coming up there to the school? They participate in the parent teachings association conferences and all this, the PTA stuff. They involved in the school. They're involved in the child's life. They conduct themselves with integrity and dignity. They carry themselves with much respect. They watching the growth and development of their child. They directing this child. They directing the teacher on how the teachers are supposed to direct their child, putting their child in this program, these honors roll, this program, this program. Now that's how the teachers, because the parents is going to demand that that's how the teachers educate their child.
Okay, now here's a question.
Yeah.
What about the child that doesn't have a parent showing up at all?
There you go, just running them through the system because they're not understanding the child. They don't understand the child, so they're gonna get that child that basic education. And what do that basic education does? Basically gets you prepared to wind up in some type of penal institution years down the line.
Hmm.
Because the child is going to start looking at the education system as a penal warehouse. So they'll drop out of it. Say, man, I ain't going to that school no more, man. They not properly educate me, because the teachers don't know how to deal with the child, because the teachers don't have no type of model on how to deal with the child.
Mm.
The teachers grab their models based on what they see from the parents and how the parents interact with them. That's going to be their model.
Okay, so the proper education is not just based on school books or school learning.
That's part of it, but that's
It's,
not
but that's
all
not
of it.
that's not the
No,
key of it. The key is the parental guidance of that child, where the parent is leading that child outside of the school from the household. Okay, so once the proper education is in place and that child is ready to move forward, what's needed to back that education to ensure that the necessary goals and objectives can be achieved would be the next question.
okay, here we go. Added to this program, there must be a community network established that reinforces one's educational,
Educational, hold up. Okay, I had to make
economical,
sure I'm with you.
political, and social growth and development when he returns to society. Otherwise, as our youth return home, they will soon lose their direction, as recidivism indicates, and fall victim to the effects of the unwritten laws of containment. So there
Mm.
has to be a program that's based on educational, economical, political, and social development. That network got to come through the community, bro. It's a community responsibility.
So could we safely say it would, if every community had a community outreach center, a community outreach program that was geared towards giving that proper education, providing economical resources for the child and the education or the family, however you want to word that, and those economical resources also gave insight to the political arena and how laws are established within the community, how resources are passed out in the community, and who they're given out to. then that child and or that family or whatever you want to classify that group of people as can then have a better input or productive aspect in their social development. I'm trying to figure out how to put that in the context to where it captures everything that said. Because I to simplify that is it ain't easy for me, but I'm trying. I'm trying.
So it has to be a community network, right?
Right.
Everything has to be working on the same accord.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has to work together because this child has to receive educational, economical, political, and social development. The child has to receive all of these things. And all of this has to come through a network within the community. This is the program that has to be set up within this community for every child, man, woman, and child in the community. Everybody has to be growing and developing together. The
Mm.
parents has to have some form of say in what's going on. The parents have the most say, really. And every other parent in that community has to have a say. That's like that story. It's like the story. It's like uh the everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody got to be involved in this. It's everybody's job. We can't sit around and wait for somebody to do it, and then when somebody don't do it, then that person get mad because then nobody do it, and blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
This is the whole community responsibility to
Mm.
each other. Cause a
Okay.
child, okay, watch this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to a major city. You in Baltimore,
Yeah.
all right? I'm from Chicago. When we look at the poverty and what's going on inside of the inner cities, in the ghettos, in these major metropolitan cities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Children grow up around this.
Yes.
Children see their parents. Children see their uncles and their grandmothers and their brothers and sisters and uncles and cousins. They see all the poverty and despair. They grow up in this. This is what they grow up in. This is what they take in from their environment. Does this apply to all the children? No. Do it apply to the majority of them? Yes.
Yeah.
You know why it applies to the majority of them? Because the majority of those children grow up to be those very same parents that they looking at right now today.
It becomes the standard, the norm for them.
That's right.
That's how they think it's supposed to be.
Exactly. So now if you go to a different community that's the education, the economics, the political, and the social development is everybody in the community is on point. They participating in the school. The parents going to the school. They having all these bakes and cooks and everybody coming to each other's house and they doing all this stuff. The teachers are welcoming into people's houses and everything. They know each
Mm-hmm.
other. Now you have an affluent, growing and developing community, healthy. How many teachers come to our homes and sit and communicate with our parents?
No. You know what you just made me think about? The two main ingredients that constitute civilization. Because what you were just describing was a group of people that have a love for the life of the membership in their community.
Yes.
And their loyalty is to the laws and obligations that keep that community at that standard.
So what do? They control their education, they control their economics, they control their politics, and they control their social, and then they control their social development. All
So
right.
that would be a systemized form of knowledge, communication with each other.
Yes. It's all working.
Yeah.
Same thing that you said earlier that you tried to break down. It's all working together. Now watch this.
Hmm.
Do we control our education?
No, not at all. Not community.
Do we control our economics?
Not in our community.
Do we control our politics?
Definitely not in our community.
Do we control our social development?
Nope.
So what do we have?
We don't have nothing.
Containment,
That's it.
the unwritten law. That's what we have.
We stay confined to that small little area we living in. East side
Now,
don't go to the west side don't go to the east side, all that.
it say, for those who believe in the 6 principles of growth and development, there is only one way in which we can overcome this crisis. We must organize our lives towards specific goals and objectives. The vision has made us aware of the need to organize our lives. Similarly, the new concept has given us an order to guide our lives in the proper and positive direction of educational, economical, political, and social growth and development.
Mm.
Did we just discuss that?
Yep, just did.
We just discussed that.
Yeah.
So we gave you both sides of it, men and women. We're giving you both sides so that way you can see yourselves. If you want to really see yourself, look at yourself through the prism of education, economical, political, and social development, and then look at somebody else through that same prism. Look at your growth and development as compared to their growth and development. Look at your use of education, economical, political, and social development as compared to their use of education, economical, political, and social development. We just gave you the two communities.
Yep.
We just gave it to you.
And
Look
based
at
them on the 6 principles.
Are you going to see nasty diapers laying in these affluent communities? Are you going to see needles and crack pipes and rats and roaches and garbage overflowing in the garbage cans and all that stuff in these
Nope.
neighborhoods? Are we going to see people walking up and down the street all times of night begging for money?
Nope.
Are you going to see the police riding through their communities like they over in Israel, in Palestine, rather?
Nope.
You're
You don't
not
see
going to
that.
see that. But you see it in our community. We are an occupied nation of peoples.
Yep.
Okay. Say, since the fundamental problems confront us as one of accomplishing positive growth and development, the time has come to settle our differences and place everything that we have into the service of our struggle. Hold
Mm.
on. Hold on now.
Yep.
Hold on now. Hold on now. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
The
Talk to me.
blueprint says now,
Mm-hmm.
let's get back over here. I want y'all to read this and I want y'all to see it. It says, since the fundamental problems confronting us is one of accomplishing positive growth and development, that's a fundamental problem of us accomplishing growth and development, positive growth and development.
Yep.
The time has come to settle our differences. Whatever differences we may have, put that trash to the backside, man. Put it to the side and place everything that we have into the service of our struggle. So how can you say you are about the struggle when you can't put your little small, minuscule problems to the side? Your
How's
little
it written?
small, minuscule, minute difference to the side and stop scandalizing people's names, slandering people's names, voicing all your dislikes and disagreements on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Man, get that trash out of here, man.
We wasted enough time dealing with insignificant matters.
So, man, we've wasted enough time dwelling on insignificant matter, man. Let's prepare ourselves for the world. We out here in the world.
Mm-hmm.
All that
So
other, mhm.
go ahead.
So all that other nonsense, man, kick that trash to the side, man. and follow the blueprint. If you want to
So
lead, follow the blueprint.
I want to say this. Yeah, I got to say this. I got to. So at this stage of our struggle, right, in our community for positive growth and development, if individuals can't set aside those petty, insignificant matters to give their service and cooperation to this organized scheme of things, it's time to cut them off. They're not part of the community.
All right, watch
They're a
this.
hindrance to the community.
You want to answer to that?
Yeah, please
All
do.
right, watch this.
Talk to me.
Personality conflicts. Personality conflicts and differences of opinions will exist, but they must be pushed aside. Our main concern from this point on must be based upon positive growth and development. So,
Mm,
in other words, if you can't push your nonsense to the side, push yourself to the side. Get out of the way. Don't forsake the whole community for your own personal faults. Get
mm.
out of the way
Okay. All right.
because you are in the way. And if you don't get out of the way, then you're going to get pushed out of the way. You're going to get bulldozed out of the way. So just put it to the side, man, and get on board. Let's move forward. Nobody wants to bulldoze or nobody.
Nope.
Nobody wants nobody to be left behind, man, in poverty, man. We all trying to grow and develop.
Yep. Because truth be told, if I'm a disgruntled individual, right, and I don't like the direction of the community from the outside looking in or even from the inside looking out, when people are trying to achieve a better community and I'm constantly in front of them with my issues, my complaints, my gripes, my dissatisfaction, it slows down their progress. It stops their progress. It can even stagnate the collective because I'm being selfish. I want it the way I want it when it's not about what I want, it's about what we need. And once we get what we need, then everybody can start getting the things that they want. The needs of the whole must come first.
OS. Enough said.
Understood.
We are aware that certain elements of society have unwritten laws of containment that they enforce, defend, and live by, and that these laws are race and class discriminatory in their application. However, this should serve only to motivate us beyond falling into the traps of debt and incarceration. Just as government leaders foresaw the rise of crime as a reactionary conditions of socially economically induced poverty and provided for it by expanding America's penal system, yeah, they foresaw because they created it.
Mm-hmm.
The vision foresaw the eventual class extermination of a large portion of our youth through death, incarceration, and recidivism, and have prepared a way for us to avoid these traps by adhering to the teachings of the new concept and live accordingly. Or we can continue to accept death, incarceration, and recidivism.
Ooh. So to reject the teachings of the new concept will basically be to accept the conditions that we've been handed. That's pretty much what
Exactly.
that boils down to. So if you refuse to adhere to the concept that is growth and development, then oh boy, you can't help but to be a disruption to everything you touch, everything you're involved with. Because there's no progress without growth and development.
Exactly.
Yeah, ain't
Exactly.
no way I can be a hindrance to my own family. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'd rather be the shoulder that they stand on to achieve their goals than the confined mentality that stops them from believing in themselves. It's just me. It might be a little bit too personal, but hey, I want my family to be able to stand on my shoulders and be proud to reach their goals. Just a moment of thought out loud. TP me on that one. That sentence just hit home for me.
Men and women, this has been an excellent build and blueprint reveal session. We thank you all for everything that you do, for all your love and support. And we're going to carry this out with the brother Blayland leading us out with his final thoughts. Brother Blayland.
Yes, sir. First, I want to say thank you to everybody watching this, and we do look forward to your comments, your input, your thoughts, whatever it may be. Help us help you. I want to say also, as you read the blueprint, consider your everyday life, what you do with your time, how you invest your time, and find a way to make what you do not just excel yourself, but your family and your community. Even if it means you must give up some time of leisure or partying or whatever extracurricular activities you have going on, take that time out to be the better you for them. And with that, I yield the floor.
Men and women, thank you all. And once again, I want to thank each of you for all your well wishes and when I was under the weather and everything. Thank you for all your love and your support. Thank you for everybody that has stepped up, man, and has come through with their assistance. I sincerely appreciate it. I do what I do out of the love for each and every one of you. This blueprint is what we all need. We have to sit down and dissect it. We have to sit down and be able to look at it from a realistic point of view on what's going on with us and everything that's going on inside of our communities. We have to. This is what's going to save us. This is what's going to take us to that next level of our growth and development. And let's get ready because next week, remember, we told y'all in week 1 about the trap, the American dream. That's next week. The trap, the American dream. So let's get ready. And on that note, on behalf of the entire Blueprint Reveal staff and everybody that's a part of that believes in the true essence of growth and development, man, thank you, thank you, thank you. Peace.